Gervonta Tank Davis. Let Shakur Stevenson. Devin Haney know y'all ain't built like that, bro. A lot of people keep commenting on this Tank fight like it's still going down. We had some words from Pauli Malignaggi, shit, that we're going to go over in this video, man. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video. Catch me live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then I'll be live tonight at 7:30, so pull up. If you want to debate, knockoutboxing86@yahoo.com. Also, you know, catch me, you know, just pull up while I'm live. We can debate right then and there. We ain't got to do no emails and no shit like that. Pull up on me like I be pulling up on y'all, bro. You know what I mean? That's where we at with it. You know what I'm talking about? Let's get to it, though. So, Pauli Malignaggi had this to say about Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach. He says they have more courage. Hold on. So he was talking about Israel Madrimov and Serhaj Bahacek. And Pauli Malignaggi says they have more courage than Gervonta Davis, who's been at this forever. And he's fighting a 130-pounder who just won his first world title defense on pay-per-view. I don't think Lamont Roach fought on pay-per-view. I think Lamont Roach fought on Pro Box, but whatever. He said, there's no standard here. There are different standards for different fighters. We need to do it all together to force the best fights possible. He wanted the Lomachenko fight when Lomachenko was old. He didn't want the Lomachenko fight when he was in his prime. If Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson were like Lomachenko, this fight would happen. I think Gervonta Davis doesn't want to fight him being Shakur Stevenson. First of all, Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis. Pauli Malignaggi, Shakur Stevenson disagrees with you. Shakur Stevenson himself said, I know the fight gonna happen. I know he ain't ducking me. I want the fight, he want the fight. He said Tank ain't ducking him. So the fighter that you think Tank Davis don't want to fight don't agree with you. Just fact of the matter. Just factually, right off the gate, bro. Right out the gate, factually explaining. The fighter that you saying he ducking and don't want no smoke with has said now on multiple occasions that he know Tank Davis ain't ducking him. As a matter of fact, why don't you speak on the fact that when Shakur Stevenson was asked who he could fight, when Shakur Stevenson was a free agent, Lomachenko said he taking the rest of the year off, Tank Davis is available. Neon asked Shakur Stevenson if you could fight anyone in the world, who do you want to fight? He named Vasily Lomachenko and not Tank Davis. So Shakur Stevenson on record has said that he don't want to fight Tank Davis next. So, but let that shit go over your head because you got a clear agenda to be a goddamn Tank Davis hater. It is what it is, bro. Do your thing. I ain't got no issue with it. I'm just pointing this shit out to y'all. I'm not letting people just lie and skip over facts. None of that shit over here on this channel. You want the truth, you want some facts, bring your ass on over here to Knockout Boxing. Now, the other part of that he said that I want to talk on is this idea that Tank Davis did not want to fight Vasily Lomachenko when Vasily Lomachenko was in his prime. That is not true. The fact of the matter is that when Vasily Lomachenko was in his prime, he was the A-side over Gervonta Tank Davis. Vasily Lomachenko said Tank Davis had never been a main event. He said fight Tank Davis for what? Because on pay-per-view, he hasn't even been a main event. That's what Vasily Lomachenko said when he was in his prime. When he was in his prime, Bob Arum and Floyd Mayweather, the two promoters involved that controlled Vasily Lomachenko's career and controlled Tank Davis' career at the time, Lomachenko was the A-side. He was the man. He was the guy. He was the matrix. He was the pound-for-pound fighter. Tank Davis was the youngin' and shit. Why didn't Lomachenko and Bob Arum send send Tank Davis an offer? He big dog Loma, right? The A-side, y'all tell me the A-side can fight whoever they want to fight. The A-side got to send an offer. The A-side this, A-side that. Well, when Loma was the A-side, don't give me a tweet that he sent out. Don't give me an interview that he did. When did he try to go make that fight with Floyd Mayweather? When did Bob Arum say, go over there? When did Bob Arum go over there and say, hey, Floyd, can we make the Tank and Lomachenko fight? When did that happen? Point me in the direction I can go to when that happened. And then the part about fighting Loma in his prime, what you're also leaving out is that Loma wanted to fight Tank Davis when Tank Davis was still green. But see, a lot of people are okay with that, and I'm okay with it too. I would love to see the fight. I want to see the fight whenever it can happen. But people such as Pauli Malignaggi, what I want the audience to understand, they want that fight because they felt like at that time that's the time that Lomachenko had a chance to beat him, because the agenda is to see Gervonta Tank Davis lose. So you want Loma to get the fight when he's in his prime. He's at the peak of his powers. Tank Davis ain't quite reached his prime yet. So Tank, go ahead and take the fight at 22 years old, because that's when we think Loma has a better chance to beat you. Now, Loma is all of a sudden this old shot fighter all of a sudden. He's not in his prime anymore. He's well past his prime. Number one, you're talking about a fighter with 20 fights. You're talking about a fighter that's still a world champion. You're talking about a fighter that hasn't taken a lot of punishment in his career. And Tank Davis is in his prime. So you don't want Tank Davis to fight Loma when it's advantageous for Tank. You wanted Tank Davis to fight Loma when it was advantageous for Loma. Tell us that you a hater without telling us that you a fucking hater, right? If Lomachenko is a champion and you're a true boxing fan, Paulie Malignaggi is supposed to be a true boxing guy. He only wants Tank and Shakur. If you only want Tank and Shakur, then tell Lomachenko to drop his belt. Tell Barinchik we don't give a fuck about him. Tell Keyshawn Davis we don't give a fuck about them. There are other fights outside of Tank and Shakur that those two fighters can make that's still the best possible fight that we can get. Shakur versus Pauli is a great fucking fight. If that fight still goes down, that's a great goddamn fight. 1,100, 1,000,000%. That is a fire-ass fight. I absolutely love that fight. Tank versus Lamont Roach, I don't think it's a good fight. But I understand that it's a backup fight, and the only aspect that it's a good fight is as a stay busy fight to keep Tank Davis active, keep him in the ring, and Lomachenko flat out ducked him. And it seems like Paulie Malignaggi doesn't want the Tank and Loma fight right now because he don't think Loma can win the fight. But you can't say that Loma is washed. You can't call Lomachenko old when I'm watching what Alexander Usyk is doing. You can't say he old. You can't say he washed when I'm watching what Erislandy Lara was doing. You can't say he old. You can't say he washed when I'm watching what motherfucking Terrence Crawford is doing. Because I guarantee you this, if you Paulie Malignaggi and Tyson Fury goes in there and he beats Alexander Usyk, you're not going to call Alexander Usyk old and say he was past his prime. You're going to give Tyson Fury credit. If Canelo Alvarez take his ass in there and he ends up fighting Terrence Bud Crawford, then guess what? You're going to give Canelo Alvarez credit. You ain't going to talk about how Terrence Bud Crawford 37 years old. You're going to give Canelo credit for that shit. You're going to give him credit for that shit, bro. If Hamza Shiraz or Janabek Alam Kanuli go in that bitch with Erislandy Lara and beat him, guess what somebody like Paulie Malignaggi going to do? They going to fucking big up whoever beat Erislandy Lara ass. And they ain't going to talk about how old Erislandy Lara is. So if those fighters can still be considered the best, if those fighters can still be pushed to fight the best that they have to offer in their division, regardless of age, because they are champions, then the same thing should be expected of Vasily Lomachenko. Or I need Paulie Malignaggi and those like him that think like him to call upon Vasily Lomachenko to drop his motherfucking belt. Drop his goddamn belt. You don't want to fight Tank Davis. You don't want to fight Shakur Stevenson. What do you have an IBF belt for? Get that bitch to Raymond Muratalla. Let's get busy. Get that shit to Keyshawn Davis. Let's get busy. Let's get Keyshawn versus Tank. Let's get Muratalla versus Shakur. Let's get the winners fighting each other. If you don't want to continue to move like a champion, then come up off that shit. That's what Paulie Malignaggi should be saying. I hate people that seem like they happy that we not getting a great fight. You got an agenda. You wanted the fight when Tank was 22 years old and Loma was 29, 30 years old, but you don't want the fight when Tank Davis is 30 years old and Vasily Lomachenko is 36 years old. Why? It's very clear, because you felt like Loma would beat Tank at that time and you don't want to see Tank win. So you don't want Loma at what you believe to be a perceived disadvantage. You want the perceived disadvantage to be on the hands of Tank Davis. That's all Paulie Malignaggi is telling you. That's all he's telling you with these comments, bro. And when you're talking about Serhai Bahacek and fucking Israel Madrimov, salute to them. That's a great fucking fight. Bahacek versus Madrimov, 154, sign me up. But then you act like you didn't watch Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia, though. Madrimov and Bahacek, two young fighters in their prime, coming up 154 pounds. Get this shit cracking. Fight while you young. Fight while you great. Tank Davis just fought motherfucking Ryan Garcia, both in their prime, in their 20s. Tank Davis just fought motherfucking Frank Martin, both in their prime. He's fighting fucking Lamont Roach, both in their prime. He fought motherfucking Hector Garcia, both in their prime. He fought Mario Barrios, both in their prime. He fought Jose Pedraza while Pedraza was in his prime and Tank was coming into his. What the fuck is Paulie Malignaggi talking about, bro? That Tank ain't doing what they doing. Tank done already did what they doing 4 times over. 4 times over, bro. He done went and did that shit with Pedraza and Barrios and Ryan and fucking Hector and fucking Frank Martin. He doing the shit with Roach. He stay fighting motherfuckers when they at their best and in their prime. You shitting on him for fighting a fighter that just defended his title, but you big up in Israel Madrimov for fighting a fighter that ain't never had a title. Talk to me. Paulie, you can't fuck with the facts, bro. You big up in Israel Madrimov for fighting Serhai Bahachek when Serhai Bahachek ain't never even been a world champion. But you criticizing Tank Davis for fighting Lamont Roach when Lamont Roach has been a champion and already defended his belt. Make that shit make sense, man. Make it make sense, bro. At the end of the day, what Pauli Malignaggi is doing is like everybody else that's hating. But meanwhile, he got his little YouTube channel. Bet he gonna be talking about that shit. Somebody gonna do him an interview and they ask him about the shit. He ain't gonna say no comment. He gonna answer that goddamn question for them views and them clicks and them likes. Stop playing and tell the goddamn truth, bro. You just hate that Loma ducked Tank Davis. And you acting like you don't want to see the fight and Loma is in the right because you don't believe that he could win. But you'll immediately take a Loma versus Kambosos fight. You ain't had no problem with that. You didn't ask Kambosos why he was fighting Loma so old. You just mad that Devin Haney beat Lomachenko and you don't want to see another melanated brother get the leg up on Loma. And this time you had to watch Loma get his ass knocked out. Quit playing Pauli Malignaggi. We all know what it is. I'll see y'all soon. Peace. Gervonta Tank Davis. Let Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney know